So we've all taken a little while to digest what happened on Thursday night at the MCG. Carlton going down 8-15-63 to 6-10-46 against our arch rival Collingwood. Welcome to our review of this Thursday night fixture. Like, subscribe, make sure you leave a comment down below. These are going to be the feature of the Jumper Punch channel from now until the end of the season. Hopefully, the end of the season doesn't come when the actual home and away season finishes, but rather in the back end of finals. But given the fact that the team is now 0-4, it shapes up as a very, very difficult next fortnight or so. Again, like, subscribe, leave a comment wherever you may. If you want to see the post-game review on fan cams, head to the Blue Broad channel. I had a little chat with Terry post-game after we went down by 17 points. Pretty somber mood, I'd have thought. I don't think the fan base is really going to explode just yet. I think everybody's just sick of what they're seeing, to be honest. No one expected 0-4. Club didn't expect 0-4. It is a long season. There's still a long way to go. But again, I've said this time and time again, the rivalry to Collingwood just means that much more. Just that much. And as that goes on throughout time, and as we venture towards the future, the gap just continues to get wider and wider between these two teams. And no one at the club, maybe subconsciously or maybe internally, they believe this. No one in the fan base has admitted that Collingwood is actually a better football club than us at the moment. More wins. They've had more success in the AFL era, more wins on the head-to-head. We can get into the nitty-gritty of the game. All you have to do is look at the third quarter. The first two quarters were tight. Collingwood probably could have put a few goals past us in the second term, and the margin might have been in their favour at halftime. But let's just look at the third term. Our players barely get a hold of the contest. We're actually obliterated at the contest. 8 of the top ball getters on the ground in that third term were all Collingwood players. Josh and Nick Dacos had 19 touches combined. Darcy Cameron went to work. Doherty had 8 disposals, but he was terrible again, unfortunately, and he's had a horror month to start the year. And their veterans, Pendlebury and Sidebottom, just continue to perform against us. And that's a difference between both sides at the moment. Pendlebury and Sidebottom have been a chasm into the difference between Collingwood and Carlton. Consistency, elite performers at the highest level for so long. And you just saw it in Pendlebury's face and eyes and what he said to Motlop when he missed that set shot late in the game. Probably couldn't lip read what he said, but you could imagine what he said to Jesse Motlop when he missed that shot when the game was over. And we go through the third term. It was an absolute disaster. Couldn't get our hands on the ball. And the issue with Carlton at the moment is if you're not winning the ball at the contest, that's fine. That can be your bread and butter. That can be your foundation. That can be the way in which you set up your squad and set up your team. That's fine. But as a coach, as a football team, you have to have other ways to win. And we saw that in patches last season. Turnover game was great. Scoring from our back half was great. What has happened since then? Go back and watch that third term if you want to on the replay. Our inability to overlap from the back half, to use handball to get out of Collingwood's forward half press and their ability to lock the ball in their front half is diabolical. We went long ball, long ball, long ball from our back half in an attempt to relieve pressure. And if you're already being beaten at the contest, whether that's 1-on-1 and your 2-on-2s and your 3-on-3s at the coalface, and you expect that to happen up the line, you expect to reverse that up the line when it's not going your way, just fraught with danger. So Collingwood win the contest, right? So let's go domino by domino in that third term. Collingwood start to get on top at centre bounce. They start to get on top at clearances. They start to get on top at stoppages, and they start to get on top around the ball. That can happen against a good team. And our coaches have to be prepared for it, right? And Michael Vospress in the press conference post-game looked as though he had no answers for that. Then you look at the way it unfolded in the third term. So Collingwood are able to camp the ball in their front half. Okay, our back 6 and 7 is actually quite good at absorbing pressure. I don't think that's an area of the park that's of a huge concern to us at the moment. actually defending one-on-ones and defending those scenarios, right? I thought Mitch McGovern was really poor, though, in a handful of one-on-one scenarios. But look, out of a back 6 or 7, one is prone to maybe having a slightly off day, right? What I will say is the lack of options when we were not winning that contest in the third term is alarming. Now, you look at that back half. So, again, let's go the domino effect here. So, Collingwood begin to win the contest, lock the ball in our front half. We've tried to repel out by going long. That doesn't work. So, you're left with the next option. How else can we get the ball out of our back half? Can we use it by short, sharp kicking? Can we use it by short, sharp passing? Trying to run our way through Collingwood's front half press and then giving our forwards an opportunity to get in behind the Collingwood front half press. We can't do that because the players we have in that back half are not runners. So let's count them. Nick Haynes, not a runner. Jacob Wiedering, not a runner. Mitch McGovern can be that player, but he's been slightly off. Jack Silvani, not a runner. Having said that, when he does get ball in hand, he's got the capability of finding that precise kick in between traffic. But that is it's not a high percentage play. It's very, very high risk. And then our other two runners, or our only two runners in the back half, are Ollie Hollands and Adam Saad. And the problem is if they're playing at either end of the spectrum, one playing on the left-hand side, one playing on the right-hand side, they're not playing together. They can't overlap run together. Saad doesn't have any overlap runners trying to provide him with that run and carry where he can get that 1-2 and feed that ball back and run through the Collingwood defence. It looked good when he did it, but it didn't happen enough. Hollands, the same thing. Thought he looked really good ball in hand, kicked 2 really nice goals, worked his backside off like he usually does. But again, because we don't have those extra options and that ability to overlap run out of the back half, that's why you see the breakdown. And the goals we conceded in that third term were just diabolical. Everybody is talking about our offense and our inability to score, but for me, it's because of our inability to defend those moments and our inability to defend and remain disciplined defensively. And I know I sound like a parrot and I know I sound like a broken record time and time again this season, but that's been the flavour of Carlton this season, their inability and their lack of detail around defence in those moments, whether it's D50 stoppage, whether it's actually defending with ball in hand, managing the game, managing the moments, right? And I know I sound like Michael Voss there, managing the moments, but managing that 30-minute patch in the third quarter where we lost the game. And then throwing Charlie Curnow back. The less said about that, the better. Less said about that, the better. Sitting next to a very close friend of mine who I do go to the football with every week. And I turned to him at that moment and I said, Charlie Curnow will be thrown to full back here and you watch us win the contest and win the ball and get the ball ahead of centre. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. And who were we kicking to? Anyone but Charlie Curnow up the line. Charlie Curnow actually had the ball in the wing in the back half of that third quarter. And he was the guy kicking from 80 metres out inside forward 50, and it was to no avail. Look, the Brodie Kemp project, it worked for 1 week against the Western Bulldogs. It doesn't look like it's going to work this year. He's probably just not good enough to be a fully fledged key position senior forward. He's more of a hybrid forward, and I don't know if that's going to work. Our forwards are diabolical at the moment, aside from Charlie Curnow, who we know can hit fire. Brodie Kemp, not good enough. Lewis Young, not good enough. We know that. Jesse Motlop has been a disaster so far this season. Lockie Fogarty, is he a 5, 6 out of 10 player? What you see is what you get. I really, really like him, but we haven't had a lot of impact from him. Zach Williams was thrown down back. Not sure what he is anymore. We'll go through that on the jumper punch. I've got a bit to say about the constant positional changes of our team at the moment. And unfortunately, we've just got the news through from our backline that Lockie Cowan will miss the next month to month and a half, which is not great. He wasn't in amazing form so far this season, but he's definitely going to be a loss. His grit and determination down back is definitely a staple of his game, and we are definitely going to miss that type of aggressiveness down back. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Just want to go through some numbers as well. Obliterated on turnover. 4-12-36 to 1-4-10. We couldn't score from turnover in that game. And there was a moment to it. I don't know what it is, why we lack adaptability in those moments when the rain comes and when you have to change when you have to change the way in which the game is played, whether that's due to conditions, whether that's due to what the opposition is throwing at you. Collingwood adapted brilliantly. They cut off the corridor in that third quarter and were able to defend a lot better. And that's why they're able to keep the ball in their front half. And I say this all the time. Strong defense fuels wicked offense. You have to base your offense off strong defense, and we don't have that at the moment, unfortunately. Uh, Inside 50 count, 57 to 44. We only have 44 inside 50s for the night. We were obliterated, and whatever expected score means, it was 81 to 51 in favour of Collingwood. And you have to say that the scoreboard flattered us. It really, really did. The margin shouldn't have been within 3 goals. It should have been way more than what it was. And scores in forward half, it all came in that third quarter, 6-9, 45 overall for the game to 3-5, 23. We were below in a lot of metrics. Tackle count, we were below in. And look, it was just another disaster on the night, unfortunately. And our kicking efficiency continues to be the worst in the AFL, albeit it was on par with Collingwood at 65% for the night, given the fact that the conditions were not ideal. But 0-4, West Coast is not going to be any easier next week. Make sure you tune into the Jumper Punch on Tuesday. Look, again, it's a carbon copy of what we've seen throughout the first 4 weeks. And the worry for me now, and the worry I think for a lot of us, is that what we saw 6 to 7 to 8 months ago is now actually being revealed publicly by senior figures of the football club. I speak of Jacob Wiedering, who questioned the mental and physical fragility of this team, and Michael Voss, who said now, after 4 rounds of football, after 4 matches of football, that there is an inability to handle the pressure. And he mentioned a couple of weeks ago, he was asked the question, how do you train composure? How do you train players and their ability to be able to handle pressure? And he mentioned repetition. And I want to commend Pommy. He and I had this discussion after 2022 when we weren't able to handle the pressure in that final game against Collingwood. And the fact that our coaches said that the more we are in those moments, the more we will get better at those moments. And Pommy and I completely disagreed that the more you're in those moments, when you actually lose them, the worse you're going to get. And we've actually become progressively worse in those, I say in inverted commas, through the first month of the season, high pressure moments. So everything that the club is saying at the moment, the opposite is happening. And what I don't understand is, how can the narrative switch from 3 weeks ago after the Richmond game that the numbers were in our favour, we probably should have won, we panicked a little, to we can't now handle the pressure, and there is a question mark on players handling the pressure. Amazing what pressure can actually do to the head figure of a football club. And I speak of Michael Voss. Wheels are in motion behind closed doors, from what I'm led to believe, but we'll get onto that as the weeks progress. Big game against West Coast coming up next week. Again, make sure you tune into the Jumper Punch Tuesday night. Tune into all the channels as well. Big week ahead. Won't get any easier against West Coast. It's not a fait accompli. Like, subscribe, comment. Go Blues.